How's it going, everyone? KingBlackToof here. Happy holidays to you, and welcome to the Draconid card contest winners video. So, in this video, I've got some honourable mentions as well as 3 winners I've chosen, the 3 best ones that I thought. And the honourable mentions will get 1 card in this style of their choice. Okay, this is normal standard card size. And the 3 winners will get 5 cards of their choice in this style. I think is fair. And, you know, hopefully everyone will enjoy that. Now, we had a lot of entrants. I had 301 cards to go through, and so that's approximately on average about 100 entries, which is a huge amount, made the judging very difficult. So I'd like to thank everyone for their effort. I mean, everyone put in so much effort on the cards. You know, it was a difficult thing because the Draconid archetype is not really something which is easy to go for since there's not much available to us. But yeah, everyone tried super hard, and there were a lot of interesting cards and abilities. But we've got the honourable mentions and the winners. So without further ado, let's have a look at them. So remember, this particular competition was about creating up to 3 Draconid cards or cards related to the Draconid archetype that would move it into an interesting direction with abilities or mechanics. So it is worth noting that this card competition was created before the midwinter patch update hit, although we had saw some cards so some abilities might be used. But just bear in mind that I'm going to be basing it off older Wyvern and older you know, Draconids and such. But the first honourable mention, and they're done in no particular order, goes to ADRIAN ROWEN for his Chileno Drake. This is a 7 strength bronze. Rain hazards on the opposite row damage 1 more unit, so it hits 3 units for 1 instead of 2. And on deploy, it gains 2 armor and plays a Torrential Rain card from your deck. Now, I really did like that he's trying to bring Torrential Rain archetype in, and sticking it with Draconids could be an interesting idea. Particular issues with this card is that it's 7 strength and it's supposed to be like a Wild Hunt Hound, presumably. I mean, it's a tutor card for a Torrential Rain, even though Rain is probably one of the worst of weathers. But it also is 7 strength, and it also acts as a Wild Hunt rider in actually increasing the value. Obviously, the more units is worse than actually increasing the damage. So there's some balance issues with this card, but I like the idea. Whether a turtle is a Draconid, I mean, it might just be the artwork, but you know, it's a nice, interesting card that really caught my attention and got some interesting synapses firing. So the other cards from ADRIAN were quite interesting as well. You know, the Doppler, 8 strength bronze, it's got just a slew of tags, so it can be any particular card. So very interesting concept. I mean, kind of, it's there for the Draconids, but it doesn't really present any other cards that would combo with this or with this card, which is why it's an honorable mention. It's an interesting card, but his 3 cards don't really gel together well. Consuming a card from your deck is an interesting idea also. You know, gain the value from a card in your deck rather than on the board. It's pretty nice. So next we have from Night Elemental, Locaste. 7 strength bronze. Whenever a friendly Locaste is damaged or destroyed, boost all other Locaste by 2 wherever they are. Okay, so this card really brought my attention, that you play several of these and you get them damaged and it boosts them all, which is kind of like the Reaver Hunters in a way. But it kind of goes together with this card, Enraged Basilisk, a 5 strength silver. Apply corrosion to 4 units, including, it could be your own. And what corrosion does is deal 1 damage to this unit at the end of your turn. Okay, I assume that's repeated, so it just keeps doing 1 damage, 1 damage, 1 damage. But if you stick it on the casts, you stick it on 3 of them, they'll go down 1 and then boost by 2, go down 1, boost by 2, so they'll start going up. Or you could stick it on like something else, which will, you know, has got armor maybe or something like that, which I really like the idea of corrosion. Now, for value wise, he's not much himself. I did like the combination of these. Now, his 3rd card, Zeracantament, is a bit weird. Way too strong. 10 strength gold. Destroy all non-Draconid units on the board with retaliation. So if he gets hit, he destroys all non-Draconid units on the board. And if he dies, he shuffles Zeracantament Forged into the opponent's deck. Right? So if he gets hit, which probably Enraged Basilisk will do, so it does gel, he destroys all non-Draconids on the board. What? And then when he dies, he shuffles Zeracaniment forward into the opponent's deck, which is destroy all Draconids on the board. So it's kind of like the other thing. The opponent's got to fish for this card from their deck after they've killed that unit. It just seems way too strong. Use it in round 3 and it's going to be very hard for them to get this. You'd use it as probably one of the last cards, you know, maybe just a little consumption on Zeracaniment, and it just destroys. Well, I don't know, you know, it's very easy to activate in a 2-card combo to destroy all non-Draconids. So that's way too strong, but I did like the corrosion idea with this guy buffing for every time an ally got hit. A friendly Lacast got hit. So, nice. The next on the list, we've got the Black Dragon from Bed of Chaos 1. This is the one that really brought my attention, but we'll also look at his other cards because they'll gel. It's a 6 strength silver, and you get to choose one of these. Either turn into the Destroyer or the Embracer. The Destroyer, you damage the next 3 non-Draconid units your opponent plays from his hand by half their power, rounding up and ignoring armor and Quen. Quen doesn't exist, but it did back them. After their deploy abilities resolve, so you can't kill Priestess of Freya, which is a good thing. Or you can choose the Embracer. Strengthen the next 3 Draconid units in your hand that you play from your hand by half their power, rounding down. Also gains 4 armor, so it's 10 value, which is not easy to destroy. There's only a couple of things that could destroy it in the previous patch. You know, Leo Bonhart, Madman Lugos, that type of thing. Now, the question is, does it need to be on the board for it to activate those next 3 or over 3? Probably, I would say. So it's a risky card, but damaging 3 non-Draconid units on the opponent plays by half, I think that's gives the opponent a really good interaction in the fact that they won't play their biggest things next, or they won't play it from their hand. So they'll play, you know, Owl's Double Cross and then it won't activate at all on the Destroyer, or they'll play their Priestesses of Freya, or their, you know, other things that are really low in strength, like Battle Maiden. To clear that from hand only actually takes 1 damage. So the Destroyer is probably not a good option because the opponent can play well, but that's a really good interaction that it puts the opponent under, which is really good. The Embracer, however, I mean, you could play some pretty strong Draconids that could double, well, half their power again, rounding down. We'll look at his other card and see just how strong, see whether he's created some other cards which that would be useful for. So his next card is the Royal Wyvern, 5 strength. So this particular card would only gain 2, so that doesn't really work. Deploy, spawn a Royal Wyvern egg on the right of this unit. Royal Wyvern egg, when consumed, boosts 5 random ally Draconid units by 1. And Death Wish, summon a Royal Wyvern from your deck. So it kind of creates another Royal Wyvern, which creates another egg. And when consumed, it buffs 5. I mean, generally speaking, I think we need to move away from some sort of eggs with Seleno Harpies, and it doesn't gel well with his Black Dragon here. We've already got Seleno Harpies for that kind of thing. You don't want to limit them to Draconids and stuff. And how does an egg boost other people is the question. So a couple of issues I have with that particular one. The Fearsome Dragon is this 3rd card. 8 strength silver, so that would gain another 4 from the Embracer. The Embracer's not looking particularly too good. Now, I was thinking like something coming through like a relic, like a 13, 11 strength relic guy. You place him down, he gets another, you know, 6 strength on top, and it's worth a lot of value there over time. But so far, you know, that will get 4. You spawn an Innocent Lamb and a random row on the opponent's side. Every turn, at the start of your turn, if the Innocent Lamb is on the opposite row, damage an adjacent unit by 2, and you gain 2 armor. The Innocent Lamb, every turn at the start of your turn, move to a random row, randomly placed amongst the units on the row. And when it dies, it boosts all Draconid units by 1, probably on the opponent's side. So, yeah, it kind of moves around, and then when it's on the same row as this, it'll do 2 damage. It's quite convoluted for value. I mean, you're not going to get a whole lot. It's 6 value to start with because you're giving the opponent an Innocent Lamb. And then it starts doing some, it goes onto a random row. So it's quite convoluted, but it's nice to see some interesting ideas with lambs. But really, it came down to the Black Dragon being interesting situations to put your opponent in and yourself in. Obviously, with the new patch, you could make it immune maybe. So it's more likely to stay and then transforms into something which is not immune when it's finished. But yeah, so I really like the idea. But he didn't he didn't bring any other examples which would work really well for him. So some really high strength Draconid units was my issue with this. So this particular set is by WARTANKER, and the card that really made me interested here is the Shrieker, 9 strength bronze. And on deploy, you choose up to 2 enemies, you push them back to the row above them if possible, and you damage them by 1. So this is 11 strength value, which is about average for the previous patch. But it just kind of has a very good thematic use for what the Shrieker does. It does a big shout and knocks people back and stuff, and it again moves 2 units back, which is really good. Now at this point we probably would have seen the boulder card, so this would work really well with the boulder. Even though it's a newer patch, we did see that. But you know, combine this with drowners and you've got yourself a really strong lacerate row and stuff. So I just like the thematic lore of this particular card. Now his other cards are Dragon Scales, a silver special card. Strengthen all Draconids in your deck, hand and on your side of the board by 1 and give them 3 armor. And the third card is the golden special card Dragon's Breath. Choose 5 adjacent enemies and scorch every unit with a strength of 6 or lower. So it could be worth 30 points, but it's a bit inconsistent. It's got to be 5 adjacent, and they've got to be 6 power or less. Now that does synergize well with the Shrieker, which can move a lot of units onto the same row, so you can get 5 adjacent units. You could use the Wyvern to level them down to about 6 and get 30 value, because that'd be worth an awful lot. Depends how easy that is to do, or whether this is overpowered or not. Now the Dragon Scales is probably my only issue here. It strengthens all Draconids in your deck, handed on your side of the board by 1, and gives them 3 armor. There doesn't seem to be any reason to give him 3 armor. Maybe it didn't need a reason. Maybe it's just protection against damage. But you know, there's no synergy between that and the other 2. But I do like the idea that you're just trying to strengthen all your Draconids. So the more Draconids you get, the more value this particular special card is worth. So this set is from MISTERJAY, and it starts with a Basilisk. 9 strength bronze, spawns a Basilisk Venom on the opposing side, which is a 4 strength bronze unit. You deal 2 damage on deploy to adjacent units. This will only actually hit 1 because, you know, it'll spawn on the right hand side. If this unit gets hit, it repeats the deploy ability, so you may get some more value in the future. If this unit is destroyed by a Draconid, boost 3 random units on the opposite side by 4, so that's back on the side of the player who played that. So that's massively powerful, because that's 9 minus 4 is 5, quick maths. But if you kill that with a Draconid, it now buffs you for 12, which is absurdly good. So that would need to be balanced. But it does like synergize with the next card, which is Forktail, 8 strength bronze. On deploy, damage all enemies on the opposite row by 1, and damage all allies on this row by 1. When this gets hit, it damages a unit by 3, probably an enemy one, I think he meant. But so essentially, that will damage all enemies on the opposite row, being that, which will actually hit adjacent units by 2. So that's 4 damage, probably, maybe not. If it kills it, then it would buff Forktail and possibly other things that you played by 12, you know, for 3 units. And then you hit all allies on this row by 1. So if you've got any more Forktails, that'll do 3 damage. So, I mean, the value here is way off, I think. 12 strength gold here is his last one. Deploy, damage an enemy by 1, then repeat 4 more times. Then damage a random ally by 1 and repeat 4 more times. So 12 value is at least minimum, but if you hit the Basilisk Venom, then it will do extra damage. If it kills it, it will boost your units. If you hit the Forktail, you'll be doing 3 damage to an opposing unit, and then you'll do another 3 damage to an opposing unit, and then you do another 3 damage to an opposing unit. So that really just sets off a massive chain of value for you. So the overall set works really well. I really like the idea. Bit strange that Basilisk Venom is actually a unit. A lot of other people had it as tokens on particular cards that you could apply, and a lot of people had it as hazards. But the set works really well, but the values are absurdly imbalanced. So it would need a lot of tweaking, but it is a hard thing to balance some of these. So I really like that set. Next, we've got cards from SAELIG. So this is the particular card which has interested me quite a bit, but although this set does gel well together. The Forktail is a 3 strength bronze. Play this card from your deck when you damage an enemy using a Draconid card. So Mighty Baraka would be a great target for this. Great tempo because it hits 3 times and all of these will come out, unless you restrict it to one particular card, one draw. But you've also got the Wyvern in the previous patch, which did 3 damage as well. So these have come out like Imperial Golems for the Draconid archetype, which is a pretty interesting ability, and it gels well with the other 2 cards that are in his set. Now the issue is, do monsters have enough of this kind of thing with Foglets and Harpies and, you know, Arrakis and all that kind of stuff? Does it need more? Is it too easy to like pile them all into one particular thing? But I do like the idea. Now the other card is the Dragon of Fyresdal. Right, it's a 7 strength silver, damages an enemy by 2, so it will pull 1 Forktail out. And at the end of the round, it returns this unit to the deck. If you have any Forktails on the board, it returns them to the bottom of your deck. So it puts all those back in, which means you can pull them back out by doing more damage in a later round, which is pretty crazy. It's like repeated use of Imperial Golems, which I think is way too strong. So for that reason, this guy needs to be like reduced in value, compensate for that kind of ability. But it only counts if this guy is on the board, I would imagine. These guys don't go into the graveyard, don't go into the deck without that guy being on the board, I would imagine. Also, his other card is Zeracentiment, the leader card. You choose one. Either play a Bronze or Silver Draconid card from your deck, or resurrect a Bronze Draconid from either graveyard. So presumably you'd play that in round 1, it would go to the deck, and then maybe you'd use your leader card to play it again in round 2, which means you could always get these guys out. A really nice set there that gels well together, that brings a nice idea of you want to do damage with your Draconids, you know. Is it going to be different from other styles of damage like Wild Hunt, Frost decks and stuff like that? Not sure, but it was a really nice set from SAELIG there, which was really, really good. The next card comes from ZYLTH. This is the Alpha Wyvern, which really brought my attention here. 9 strength silver. Okay, and it's got the deploy ability. You may play a Draconid card from your hand and draw the top card in your deck. Okay, so we've seen that kind of before, but the interesting bit is the played card is destroyed after deployed. That's really interesting, and he put a bit of flavor text there, which actually kind of makes a lot of sense there. For leaders, the smallest wyverns of the pack are expendable. In this, they are not unlike us. I really like that, and it kind of works with this. So basically, the premise behind this would be that you'd play a Draconid card from your hand because it's really good with its deploy ability, so you're using it for the deploy, but then it gets destroyed. And that really sets up for Slyzard value in you know, when it goes into the graveyard, you've now got access to a Slyzard. It's also thinned your deck, and you've hopefully got a really good deploy ability out of it. So I really like this card for interestingness. Now let's have a look at ZYLTH's other cards. So it's the Rock Dragon. This is the 5 strength silver, and on deploy, damage an enemy unit by 5, so it's 10 value. You increase the damage dealt at the end of your turn, reset added damage at the end of the round. Really kind of interesting. Now it's a bit confusing. I think what he meant was that because the increased damage dealt by 1 at the end of your turn is on the deploy, it doesn't make sense. But I think what he meant is that it increases the damage dealt by 1 at the end of your turn, and then when you play him, it does 5 plus how many turns have passed. But if you go to the next round, then it will reset back to 5, and you'll have to wait some more turns before you can do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you get a really long round with the Rock Dragon, he'll be 5 plus 5 damage plus what, like 7 turns. So you know, that's like 17 damage there. Well, not 17 damage, but it's 17 value and a lot of damage. So I like it. I do like it a lot. It's quite an interesting card, this. Yeah, interesting. And the third card he's got is the Wyvernling. 7 strength bronze, has the Death Wish to boost adjacent Draconids by 4. So, you know, that's worth a lot of value there. Okay, so that's 15 strength, or value at least. But obviously it's going to be difficult to trigger this. It is a card that you'll have to trigger, and I think Griffin will be quite good. Griffin's not a Draconid, unfortunately. But it does have synergies with the Alpha Wyvern that we saw earlier, whereby you'd play that card from the deck, and then do its deploy, and then it will get destroyed. Now, it's a shame it doesn't have lower base strength, has a deploy, which is nice, and a Death Wish. But, you know, it is a card which would work really well with the Alpha Wyvern, and so I really enjoyed that kind of set and these kind of cards here. So thank you to everyone who entered the competition, and congratulations to the honourable mentions and the winners. The honorable mentions will get 1 of these of their choice, and the winners will get 5 of these of their choice. I also stick in a Vran Warrior, which I sign, which is nice. But thank you everyone for watching, joining in. I'll do another video where I'll go through a lot more of the entries, because I think there are some really interesting ones. Lel, I'm on fire, you know, Okvis Sun. There's some really interesting ones that you'd love to see. So thank you for your creative ideas and the support in the competition, as well as just my channel in general, really. So in terms of how I would contact you or how you contact me, I'll put a link in the description below, or you can contact me on my Twitch, which is, you know, twitch.tv/KingBlackToof. Send me a message with your name and your address. So until next time, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, and I'll see you again very soon.